Interested in doing business with the government? Helping businesses understand and win government contracts is an essential service of the New Jersey SBDC network. Our procurement specialists can help you obtain registrations and certifications, prepare bids, and even match you with contracting opportunities from agencies that buy your goods and services. Want to learn more? Visit us online to get started on your path to success today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the NJSBDC here at Rutgers-Newark webinar presentation. Just before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone is seeing the screen and you're hearing me perfectly. If you can please type yes in the chat box just to let me know that you're seeing the screen and you can hear me, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, great. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Rachel, are you with us? Oh, there you go. Okay. Okay, good. So now that I know that everyone can see and hear us, again, I will start. Let's make sure that we're all set up here. Yes, so a pleasant good afternoon to everyone. My name is Priscilla Liebert-Calder. I am the event coordinator here at the NJSBDC at Rutgers-Newark. And on behalf of Dr. Tendai Ndoro, our regional director, I would like to welcome you to our webinar on selling your goods and services to the federal government. Now, for those of you who are here who may be unfamiliar with the SBDC, which stands for Small Business Development Centers, we are a resource center for the Small Business Administration, the SBA. And we are the premier provider of business consultant services to individuals and small businesses here in New Jersey. We are one of 12 centers in the NJSBDC network, each center being responsible for one or more counties. We are responsible for the small businesses here in Essex County. We are hosted by the Rutgers Business School here in Newark, and we are funded through a partnership agreement between the SBA, Rutgers University, and the New Jersey Business Action Center. So all in all, the objective of the SBDCs is to provide business consulting and advisory services to individuals who are thinking about starting a business, as well as our small business owners. And the way we do that is through free consultation or no-cost consultation, with consultants in the area of expertise in which you need help for. So we have many consultants on staff. Some may have their area of expertise may be in startup assistance, marketing, digital marketing, government contracting, state and federal certifications, import, export if you are trying to get into that field. If you need help with business plans, you need help with accessing capital, you need someone to help put together some loan packaging for you. You need help with supply chain, or if you need help with securing suppliers or manufacturers. Whatever issue you're currently facing as a small business, we do have someone on staff with the expertise that we can assign to you to consult with you and help you through those issues. And again, that service is provided to you at no cost, paid for by your tax dollars. The second service that we provide is the the training services, such as workshops and webinars, which you're attending here today. Most of our webinars are at no cost, but there are a few that have a nominal fee. When it comes down to the one-on-one consulting services, we do counsel you based on the county in which you live in. So as we're responsible for Essex County, if you're outside of Essex County, we do refer you to your local SBDC office, and they would assist you at that point. If you attend one of our paid workshops, we do allow you to have that one-on-one with our presenters or consultants. And then after that is done, we do transfer you to your local SBDC office. So to take advantage of these services that I just spoke about, please feel free to visit our website at www.rnsbdc.com. It's right at the bottom of the screen there. Our email address is rnsbdc@business.rutgers.edu, as well as our phone number, 973-353-5950. And just reach out to us to complete that request for counseling. Within 24 to 48 hours, you are assigned to a consultant in the area in which you need help with, and they will take it from there. If you are outside of our territory, you will get an email just notifying you that you've been transferred to the appropriate SBDC office to assist you. And we all operate the same way. Okay, now in regards for today's presentation, I will be emailing out a copy of today's slide presentation, as well as we will be uploading the recording of this webinar. We've been having a little bit of issue with that over the past couple weeks, but hopefully we're resolving it. So we're going to try to be a little bit more on time with uploading that, so you can review this session at the at a time convenient to you. I see someone says to increase the volume. Hopefully everyone is hearing me loud and clear. I don't see any way here to increase my volume, but I'll get back to you in a few. So for the benefit of everyone on today's webinar, we have muted the audio. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions in the chat box or use the Q&A feature. And we will definitely read those questions and answer them at the end of the presentation. Yes. Okay, someone is still saying, okay, I'll check into the volume in just a bit. Yes, so I will be emailing out the news, the PowerPoint presentation and the recording of today's webinar, as well as, like I said, we'll be taking the questions at the end. If there's more than one question, I may be able to unmute you, especially if it's a two-part questions. We do have those sometimes where there's a lot of follow-up. And if that is the case, feel free to just kind of, raise your hands and let me know if your question has multiple parts to it, and I'll be able to control the microphone and let you ask the questions verbally instead of typing it in the chat. Okay, so without further ado now, I'll introduce to you our presenter for today. That is Rachel Klein-Pintori. Rachel is with PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. Rachel, don't kill me. I hope I didn't say that wrong. So for those of you who are thinking about getting into federal contracting, your local PTAC would probably be the best resource that you would start out on. There's a lot that need to be in place before you get to that point. And so we are happy to have Rachel with us to tell us about the services that PTAC can provide to you and the ways in which you can go about getting your products, selling your products to the government. Also know that we also do have a full day workshop that called Winning Public Federal Contracts. And that workshop is a little bit more involved. That workshop actually discusses a lot of the certifications needed, a lot of the programs that can help you when it comes to federal contracting, actually even tells you how to do the market research and how to reach out to procurement officers to get your foot into the door to when it comes to securing government contracts. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Rachel, and I'll be here if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Priscilla. Can everybody hear me? Just a couple of yeses would make me feel a lot better. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. I'm going to share my screen with you. Hopefully share my screen with you guys. Sorry. I'm used to WebEx, so for me, Zoom is a little wacky. So bear with me until I get my feet wet, and then I won't be able to shut up. So bear with me. Slideshow. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, as Priscilla stated, my name is Rachel Klein-Pinturi. We are with the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We are sort of the next generation of the SBDC when you want to do government contracts. We also help with state and local contracts, and we have a free bid match system along with several on-demand classes that you can take on market research, the federal acquisition regulations, cybersecurity, anything that you might encounter in the federal or state arena. Currently, we are also able to help veterans with their verification through the VA. So anybody who has heard my name outside of the BTEC, that's probably how you've gotten to know me. And one more clarification, just for those of you who know how difficult my name is. My maiden name was Rachel Isla Klein, which was a nickname for Rick. And when I was about to get married to my husband, his last name is Pinturi, which meant my name would have been R.I.P. So not realizing that until I was actually considering changing my name, I hyphenated it. So, and everybody screws up my last name and my first name. So Priscilla, I love you, but the last name is P-I-N-T-O-U-R-I. And the first name is Rachel, R-A-C-H-E-L. Don't worry about it. I'm good once I sort of rectify that. I can move on. And, and thankfully, my husband had a very good sense of humor, so he understood. So we are basically the resource, again, for selling to primes, federal, state, and local government agencies. We are constantly in training so that our skills are always updated. Doesn't mean we won't run across something that we're not used to. That always happens. But the best part of my job is being able to do the research and get answers, and then, of course, learn myself. Although the older I get, the harder it is to retain it. I'm still thankfully able to think for myself. Over the years, we've been able to obtain $3 billion in contract awards to NJIT PTAC clients. We are a statewide PTAC. We cover 20 of the 21 counties. We are funded by a grant from the Department of Defense. and run by DLA. They measure our award and what we can and cannot do with it. Trust me, there's not a lot of money to go around for us, but there certainly is for our small business clients. I've been with them for over 11 years. And prior to that, I was in small business that was successful in government contracting. So for those of you who are out there, don't fret. It is possible. There is a lot of work, and I understand how much work is involved. So, I get it. Been there, done that, enjoyed it. So basically what we do is we help you understand, prepare, and navigate for the procurement process. So again, anything that you run into, we can certainly help you. Getting started is probably the hardest part. And part of that is getting your DUNS number and registered in sam.gov. That means a system for award management. The government has tons of acronyms, or backronyms, as my son calls them. And we can explain most of them, although to be honest, again, I've forgotten half of them. But you'll know that you've gotten comfortable to play in this space when you start realizing and understanding every acronym or backronym that comes out of my mouth. So you may laugh at that now, but when you hear yourself doing it, you know you've almost made it. One of the things that we can help with is to show you how to conduct your market research. There's plenty of ways to do this. And as we move forward, we will probably give you the tools with which to conduct your research. So that way, if your business changes or your scope changes or your niche changes, and we've seen that happen, obviously, with COVID. So by showing you how to do it yourself, we're teaching you how to fish, essentially. So don't expect us to do it at this point for you. We will just give you the tools. And we also identify viable procurement opportunities. In the past, people looked for solicitations on what used to be known as another acronym, FBO.gov. But that was federal business opportunities. Woohoo, I remembered. But that has now been transferred over to sam.gov. So everything is now sort of being cobbled together in 10 older legacy systems. And there's all kinds of reporting, award reports. You can do searches, you can save searches. So, and that's something we also do webinars on to teach you about how to do that. So again, you can sort of, if you're not sure if the government buys or sells or uses your service or product, one of the ways you can do it is test the marketplace by putting in some keywords. I mean, the searches are far from excellent, but they're getting a lot better. And they update it all the time. And they've now used something called digital analytics, which makes the front-facing part of SAM much more user-friendly. I know you'll probably kill me later for having said that, because once you get behind the scenes, the systems are still very old. And just as a sort of side note to let you know, Dun & Bradstreet used to be the unique, bear with me, unique numbering system for the federal government. And they've had the contract for many, many years. But they have now lost the contract, and it has been given to Ernst & Young. So you sort of have to be careful when you're doing business with the government. You have to be responsible and reliable. And you're also not allowed to double dip, which is sort of what Dun & Bradstreet did. You know, they were smart during that time period, but now if somebody screws up, the government can get not only the current contract money, but all the contract money they were out. So it can bankrupt somebody very quickly. That's just an aside, just to be careful, because sometimes we have people who we say, okay, we're going to go through your solicitation, even if it's a smaller, say, county solicitation, and it's 20 pages. If you don't read everything within that solicitation, and mind you, a lot of it is rules and regulations, but if you don't get to the meat and understand it, you can put your company in jeopardy. I'm sure it's that way with a lot of different businesses, but I remember a handshake in the old days would get you a contract. So it's changed a great deal. Again, with the guide and review solicitations and proposals, what we do is have you read it. We read it because every solicitation is a little bit different, whether it is a school board, whether it is a county, whether it is a federal, whether it is a subcontract. There are all kinds of different rules and regulations in place. And what we do is take the time to read it and we answer your questions. So kind of hard to find that that kind of counseling in such detail, as long as you give us enough time to read it. I have had days where within 24 hours, I've been asked to read 600 pages worth of different contracts for different clients, and I have no hair left after having done that. Will not do that again. So, you know, give yourself enough time to read it and your counselor to read it. We, again, are based all over the state. So we have somebody in Atlantic City, somebody in Camden, and there's a few of us scattered in North Jersey, because anybody who lives in North Jersey understands how crowded it is and how many small businesses there are. So we've covered the state. So having said that, we also, by having read it with you and go over it, we can help in terms of your progress in moving forward in the federal, state, or local arena. So our services and resources are, bear with me, my mouth is not behaving today, is free individualized counseling, similar to the SBDC. We become your counselor once you sign up, and our services and everything that we do is free, including bid match and on-demand classes. But we are sort of a subscription service now, so that you would have to reach out and stay active with us. A lot of times, small businesses don't understand that we have almost 1,000 clients each, so that we won't remember where you are in the process. We obviously have directions and steps you can take, and we obviously are going to listen to you. But if you want to continue or learn the next steps, we always ask you to reach out and be proactive. And in some ways, it's good for you to get practice with us, because that's what you're going to have to do in the federal arena anyway. Again, we offer the ability to do market research and targeted marketing. So if you provide a service or a product and you thought it was only going to go to, say, the VA, and then you discovered, well, the VA only buys it once in a while, but, you know, FEMA buys it all the time. You may not have thought about that marketplace, but then you realize they're buying your services or goods. So one of the things we can do is help you once you get to that point of doing targeted marketing, we can help you along. The other thing we do for you are capability statements. What we can do is, once you put one together, and basically what that is a business resume. So you use all of your abilities in business to get contacts, to get business. The capability statement on the federal side is a way of introducing yourself, but it comes with a caveat. And the caveat is that if you send it out, I'd like to introduce my company does great sales, you know, they love me to death. That's what I call fluff and stuff. The government doesn't want fluff and stuff. They want plain language that they can understand that proves that you are number one in your business. So it's a very distinct kind of thing. And we can help you put that together. And part of that is putting down the certifications, which you may receive from the SBDC, or from, any other source. There are plenty of third-party providers that charge you. New Jersey just got rid of their charge. Started in June 1st, they no longer charge for state certifications. And that includes small business enterprise, veteran, women and minorities. It's an emergent small business enterprise, ESBE. See, I remembered another one. So those are free now. So at this point, it's something you could take advantage of very early on. We say sometimes in business, you have to spend money to make money, but in this instant, that's no longer the case. And for those of you who know how living in New Jersey is, it's a surprise, a very nice surprise, actually. The other thing we offer is the electronic bid match. And basically what that does is calls all your keywords, and they have to be very specific to your company. One of my funnier stories is a teacher who taught ESL, and I kept asking her for more distinct keywords. And she kept saying to me that, just put, teaching ESL. And I said, well, can you put the second language? Can you put the first language? Something to make it more specific. And so we went back and forth a little bit. I entered her keywords in, and then she called me 2 days later and said, well, I don't want to teach Afghans how to do English in Afghanistan. That's not what I asked for. So that's why we always say, think carefully about your keywords. Remember, it does go out to the entire universe, basically, military or otherwise. We can help you with the most important registration to do business with the federal government is SAM. Again, that's what I talked about before in terms of finding solicitations, creating keywords so you would know what's a good keyword. So SAM is sort of the only registration before you get certifications even, so that you can start to do business with the government. And we can help get you through that process. Most of us know it by heart, inside and out. So, yes, it does drive us crazy, but we're here to help. There are also several other vendor registration portals, and there's a DIBS portal, which is mainly for parts. So they may request green widgets, and you guys happen to make green widgets, and they'll do price points and things like that. It's an older system that is not part of the new legacy system. So it's going to take you some time to learn how to do it. So for those of you who manufacture parts, speak to a procurement counselor about what to do first. Again, certifications and verifications. Right now, the VA has a verification called the CVE. And along with that, you get notifications directly from the VA. It's a nice sort of separate program from some of the other certifications, only because at this point, the VA for service disabled veterans has declared that they're trying to do a 30% set aside, equivalent to the homeless rate. So, kudos to them, and their office is actually proactive in answering the phone. So it's nice, especially since most of us are still working remotely. We end up doing a lot of things virtually, but they are always on the phone, and it's one of the best help desks I've ever run into. So it's kind of a plug for them. Having said that, in 2 years, SBA is going to take it over. So it will become classified as a certification. I know they've been meeting regularly, so at some point that will transfer over. So the SBDCs, again, will probably be much more involved in that end of things going forward. So you may want to start with the SBDCs, get your business plans and things ready, and then jump to us. And I'll show you why in a minute. One of the other things that we do when it's not COVID is we help you with matchmaking in public and private sectors. So when we get notification of an event that's occurring and they're looking for small business or to set aside small businesses, we'll send you things like, notifications, or we'll send you a newsletter where you can link on a notification to attend an event or to meet up with somebody. Or, we actually used to in the past have matchmaking events at NJIT, and we were able to use those resources. And to be quite honest, it's the only time we've ever had to charge clients because for those of you who don't know, grant-based doesn't get to buy food. So in order to buy food, we have to charge you guys. So if we do virtual things, it's a lot cheaper. Again, proposal solicitations, we assist and review them, answer your questions. Supply chain event, we've had, for example, we had a pitch day prior to COVID with the Air Force, and they also came to NJIT. We had it in the building where they had sort of decided that they wanted innovative products, and they put out what they were looking for, and our clients made presentations, and those that they chose who presented well got a contract on the spot. So that was kind of a fun thing to see. Would love to do that again. That was great. We teach you about government buying processes. Again, it's all based on federal regulations, and it's a lot of information, but it's something that we can guide you on. And one of the nice things is in each industry, there are different clauses that go along. So if you do 3 or 4 solicitations or read 3 or 4, you're going to start to see things that actually look familiar. And once they become familiar, you'll know how to answer those. So it's not as scary as it sounds, or even as I'm making it out to be. And again, I've had clients that have started out with very little knowledge, and they're off and running and making millions at this point. So it does happen for sure. We also help you with GSA schedules, whether you're ready or you're not. We do the same with all of the certifications. We help with the 8A Hub Zone, 8A Hub Zone Women Owned, and see, that's what happens when you get old. You forget the simplest things in life. Anyway, it'll pop into my head again. Don't worry about it. The other thing we help you with is the e-payment systems or registrations for payment. The one great thing about working for the government, aside from the fact that everything is an open book, is the fact that they pay you within 30 days. And there are some contracts that still say the Quick Pay Act. This was enacted back when Obama was president, and it's a 15-day pay. I don't see it as much as I used to, but it's still out there. And the wide area workflow happens to be, a Department of Defense payment system. And part of the registration is, Sam, is putting in your banking account information. So some will pay as you go, some will pay at the end. So sometimes you have to have extra capital. But what's nice too is that some actually just trigger a check to go into your bank account. So that's kind of a nice thing about the government. You wouldn't have to have an accounts receivable person, or you wouldn't have to call yourself to ask for money. So that's kind of nice. Again, part of the government buying process is learning about rules and regs. The FAR and DFAR are acronyms for the Federal Acquisition Regulations and the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulations. The SBA has the Code of Federal Regulations, and sometimes They're a little bit slower to put their regs in place, but they're getting much faster now. So the Woman-Owned Small Business Program took a long time to get up and running, and the rules and regs took a long time, and they are finally there. They send it out to a third-party service for free that will evaluate your applications and then send you back a yes or no decision or ask for more documentation. And that seems to be happening with the VA, with SAM, with the Women-Owned Small Business, and so on. So, and the 8A, of course. In the old days, it used to be in a binder, and you would have to repeat information and make 100 million copies and do punch holes. Now it's all done electronically, so it's much easier to, update and place them where they need to be, or explanations. The Defense Contract Audit Agency is, the acronym for it is DCAA. And it's sort of like the good news, bad news of the government. The good news is you're large enough to be recognized, and they ask for a government approved accounting system. The bad news is you're large enough to be recognized, so that they ask for a federal accounting system. Now, they don't have to be advanced. They just have to account for some of the things the government requires. So for example, the government wants you to pay a wage that they determine to include health and welfare benefits. So if you hire somebody, you are going to have to put in your payroll that you're either paying them for the health and welfare benefits, or you are providing it for them. If it's just yourself, chances are they're not going to come knocking on your door, but you do have to be aware of things that are out there. And then, of course, we have tons of training seminars, workshops, and webinars. We used to do in-person training seminars. Right now, we're doing them virtually, as almost everybody else. But I kind of like it because we can see more people in one day than I used to be able to when I held classes. So now, the client criteria, and this is why the SBDC and I work well together, and not I personally, the PTAC, is because you have to be a New Jersey-based business. You have to be established for at least 2 years. The VA accepts startups. So there are clients that come to us earlier, and if they don't have a business plan in place, or they don't have say a county certification, or if they want capital or things like that, that's the time where we recommend them to go back to the SBDC, request their services, and when they're ready to do federal contracting, they can come back. Part of the nice thing is that 90% of all contracts are a 1-year contract. And by doing that, even though you see those 3 or 5 year contracts, the majority are not. The majority are 1-year contracts. So if you miss something this time because you're not quite ready, you can catch it coming around the second time, or even the third time. So it's something that you could sort of put on the back burner and come back to all the time. We want a customer base that demonstrates past performance. It's sort of that catch-22. For anybody who, is fresh out of high school or college, somebody says, well, what kind of experience do you have? And chances are, if you just graduated from high school, for example, you probably worked at, God knows, ShopRite, ice cream store, you never know. Probably doesn't translate into what you want to do in the future. So the same thing with the government contracting. They want you to show what they call past performance, which is basically what you did, or a review of what you did that's similar, or if not the same, as what you're gonna do. So it kind of puts you in a strange position, because the only way you can get past performance is to do a contract. However, there are things like subcontracting, or teaming with a larger company, or getting special set-asides in the 8A program, that kind of stuff. So that's why we request that you have some sort of past performance. It'll help you going forward. You must not be delinquent with child support or taxes. This has changed just a little bit. If you can show that you're paying back taxes and that you've made a commitment to pay the government back, they let you continue to register in SAM. That's where it's going to stop you, and we won't be able to provide you any additional guidance beyond that because you won't be able to do business with the federal government. So that's just a heads up. Creditworthy is basically because in a lot of government contracts specifically, you have to put up the capital before they pay you back in those 30 days. So you have to have the ability to either get credit or some capital. I had a client who had, it was a contract for $10,000 and they wanted to make sure he had it, and he had it in credit cards. So he got the contract and obviously paid back his credit card plus some. So, you know, that's the basic reason for that, so that you have an ability to perform a contract. The business bank account sort of speaks for itself. Sam wants to be able to deposit it directly into your account. They will not send you a Visa card with $1,000 on it. There's just too much room for error by doing anything else. And right now, part of that also is the cybersecurity, the CMMC, they're calling it. This is a new part of the government. And in some ways, you should be thankful because a lot of it is now being absorbed by some of the larger companies. So for example, if you have a Verizon wireless, or you have a Verizon landline, or you have a Verizon cell phone, because they do business with the federal government, believe it or not, they have to abide by those rules so that it sort of flows down to you and it's a little bit safer for you. So that's helpful. The computer literate, it's mainly because the government does all of its business, or almost all of its business, behind the computer, and it's not on a Mac. They started the whole program on a Microsoft Office computer. So sometimes I don't know how old everybody is in the audience, but I remember with Clinton and Gore, and he said he broke the internet. He didn't break the internet, obviously, but he was one of the first to sort of say, hey, we got to make it easier for small businesses to reach out to us and to be able to connect with us. And that's where he came up with his notion. So he started it, he didn't break it. And the thing about company website and email preference is mainly because if you are a small company, and a lot of companies are, you know, 1 or 2 person companies, you can essentially, and I'm not asking you to lie, but you can hide behind the website. So you can say what we do, or, you know, create a government page and say what you would do for the government, and then do an email that's related to that website. By going that extra step, it can help your business significantly, because it's hard to tell how many people are in the company, unless of course you list the officers and you're the only one on the list. You know, there's some obvious things. But that would be most helpful to your business in more ways than one. I do know that some people would prefer that you don't use your home address because it can be Googled. On the federal side, they actually want to know where to find you. If you can have your mailing address as a post office box, but you have to put wherever you are, and they do accept home businesses in the SAM registration, and Dun & Bradstreet has to know it, because sometimes there will be somebody knocking on the door to do a site visit, and they can do that at any time of the day during business hours, because you have to let them know what your business hours are. And if you're not there, there could be a question mark. So I've seen it Thankfully, none of my clients, but I have heard about people coming for a woman-owned small business and only finding the male there and finding no second office in the home for the woman that's supposed to be running the business. So you have to be a little careful. You can't really fool them. And the company website and email is about as close to fooling as I would suggest. So again, we have our headquarters in Newark, not too far from the SBDCs. I do miss Newark. It's a vibrant place with good food. Probably better that I don't go back to work right now. And our satellite offices are in Atlantic City and Camden. So again, we can cover most of the city. For a formal request or to be assigned a counselor, that is our sign up. You can send me a personal email and I'll onboard you as a client. That's fine. And we also have a general email box. So if you forget my name or how to spell my name, you can use ptac@njit.edu. Next iteration of slides will definitely have that. Okay. And I still have some time. So what I was hoping is if there's, I'm going to look for questions first, but if there's not a lot of questions, I may share my screen and show you the new SAM and things like that, but I'm going to take a look. Let's see. Okay, I do have some questions. Oh, hello. It's one of my clients asking about her husband's veterans business status. So I will get back to her. Somebody else says we need help to renew SAM. Can't find the link on their website. I can show you guys that in 1 minute. Somebody here said, if we took over a business for 6 months, now that has been established for 12 years, is that acceptable? That's a great question. Yes and no. If the current business retained some of the employees that worked on successful contracts and you want to use the business or the contacts as references, and they say, yes, that's fine, that employee was great, and if you're retaining them, you know, that's wonderful. If not, you're going to have to sort of hope that the name sells it on the commercial side and sort of start a little bit lower down the rung for grabbing sort of subcontracts and starting to work your way up. It really depends on whether you took the business over and just bought the assets and the other part was you know, a debt. It all depends on how you bought it and what the paperwork says. So if you get all of the business contacts and so on, that's sort of an offline to have. So feel free to reach out. I've got another one here that says, I've been in business for over 25 years, recruiting for banks and mortgage underwriters, processor, closing agents, and attorneys throughout the USA. I was hit hard during the recession. So income, yeah, it was definitely a pandemic / recession. So income has dropped and now recovering slowly. Will they look at all past income? Actually, that was another good question. Luckily, SAM and now the SBA has written the CFRs in the Code of Federal Regulations. It's not adopted into the federal acquisition regulations yet. However, there's a 3-year average annual dollar amount that you have to put in SAM, but they're going to change it to your choice of 3 years or 5 years. So having said that, you should be fine going forward because that's what SAM's going to show. And you will need to, and the VA, for example, is going to look at your SAM to see what your income is. Only federal agencies can see that. I can't, since I'm not a part of a federal agency, so I wouldn't know how much you would put in there, but they'll know. And if you did well in the past, you'll be fine. And they did take that into consideration when they were putting together these new rules and regs. So I'm going to see if I can do a new share and get my screen up. Hopefully. Sorry, guys. I am so used to Zoom, it takes me a while. Portion of the screen? No, I want the whole screen. That's not helpful. Sorry, guys. I am not as good at this as I wanted to. So I will get back to questions. But those of you who are looking for a SAM website, please look for sam.gov. It's www.sam.gov. Oh, one other thing, that when you are looking at government websites, thank you, Priscilla. When you're looking at websites, just remember anything with a .gov, a .mil for military, a .edu for education, those are probably safe bets. If you see something coming from a .com, just question it, because that's how people make money through communications, the .com. And sometimes there are people out there who really sort of circumvent normal channels and will try to get your money, especially during COVID. We've seen a lot of sort of scrupulous people, unscrupulous people, taking advantage of businesses that have suffered and then are reaching out. So just a heads up on that. If you're ever unsure, double check with either the SBDC or the PTAC, doesn't matter, as long as you're signed up with both of us. We don't really cross paths that much. We sort of handle different avenues and supplement each other. So reach out to us. We can certainly tell you go or no go on that. I got another question that came up. For those of us who have not been in business for 2 years yet, do you recommend we initiate contact with your office now to start exploring opportunities, or wait until we are close to the 2-year mark? No, that was a great question. We can't get you to the final yard until you've been in business with past performance. However, the process is very long. So you can start learning how to do it at this point, especially if you have time, because you could take the classes to learn how to do it, talk to us, get a counselor, and start moving in that direction. And you can do it at your own pace. As I indicated at the beginning of this, that I was in small business, and I'll have to be honest, I started doing the government stuff, learning how to do it, at 2 or 3 in the morning. So it was a little crazy for a while until I really got my feet wet. But it would be nice if I had had the time to sort of work from home and do it on the side. So it was kind of this is probably the best time to jump in the fray. Should I wait until my business is 2 years old before registering in SAM? No, you can register in SAM now, but the thing is you have to put in your average annual receipts for the last 3 years. You can, for example, if you have money in retirement and you're over a certain age, or if you get a pension, or if you get Social Security, you can use those all as business income, as long as that you're good for it, and that you can show some kind of contracting success. Sam will let you in as long as you update it when you start to get more contracts. So you go for higher dollar value contracts, because they do look at that. And when a contracting officer puts out a contract, one of the things that they'll do is research. They have to do their market research, and there's always like 4 or 5 people on a team Some are technical, some are just for the FAR, some are just reading the solicitations to make sure it doesn't have legal errors, things like that. And when they put it out, they have to do their market research on companies or small companies that can do this. So they will take a look at who's capable, whose SAM is complete, you know, things like that, who have a good website. So it's kind of interesting. They did a study recently, and I know this is sort of a little off topic, but makes sense. They did a study, and what they discovered in 2009, when the government went sort of, you know, they sequestered their employees, they didn't make it in terms of their contracts and so on. And what they expected was 10% of the workforce to retire. And they were comfortable with that. What ended up happening was that 30% of their workforce retired. And so all of these, you know, worn-torn contracting officers who were of a certain age, who knew everything about how to put these things together and how to write them, sort of left with this huge vacuum. And what they discovered is that all the contracting officers that are under 30 pretty much do all of their market research online. So if you do not at the very least have a LinkedIn account, you're not going to have much of a chance. If you have a website, even better. If you sell goods and products and you put your pricing on the website, even better, because they have, you know, credit cards, what they call purchase cards, that have $10,000 or less in them. And if they want to buy from you, they can just use the purchase card. So you'd be surprised. I mean, it doesn't happen that much if you don't get yourself in the game. But, you know, I've had people call up saying, I just got I had a woman who had, I'm sorry, I'm a storyteller, bear with me. I had a woman who was in Walmart, and she was selling Spanish language tapes in Walmart. And when she got home, somebody from Homeland Security called her, and she was so freaked out. She called me up, you know, oh, what do I do? What's going on? And it turns out that they wanted to purchase her stuff from Walmart, but they didn't have enough tape. So they wanted to know if they could buy them from her privately. So always answer the phone. Okay, I've got another. Okay, what was the contact information for working with a counselor? For us, you can just send a general email, ptac@njit.edu. That's our general email box. And if you request help, they'll send you the sign up link, or they'll give you to a specific counselor, or my email, which is Pintori, again, I'll spell it for you. It's P as in Peter, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, OURI @njit.edu. There's another question. If we have had a bid on a contract prior to today, do we still have a chance to bid? Oh yeah, you know, you can bid as many times as you want. You know, it takes a little bit to put them together. And as long as you are in time or even early, you could definitely do that. It's a lot of extra work, but having said that, the more you do these, the easier it gets. So if you have the time, I would definitely give it a shot. If you find one that's good, I would jump in. Chances are you probably won't get it the first time around. I've been asked in the past, what's the average time frame? And it really depends on how hard or how many people are working for you. If it's just you and one other partner, or just you, it could take quite a while, at least 8 months of you know, learning the language, learning what to do, how to write it, and so on. And if you're slower than that, it can take, you know, a year or two before you get your first one. So you just have to learn the ropes and feel comfortable. And I always say, keep a foot in both worlds. Keep a foot on the commercial side and keep a foot in the government side. That way, if one or the other goes down, i.e. pandemic, and the government was flush with money, you would have managed okay. So, and again, going back, if the government doesn't match a budget, you would still have your commercial contract. So, and they seem to go at different times. Why, I don't know. I may be wrong about that, but I think I'm close. There's another question. I have been in my profession 20 years, but haven't coached for 2 years. Am I eligible, or do I need to be physically in business for myself for 2 years? Again, part of that is past performance. If you can show, say you worked in the profession, you know what you're doing. People know you know what you're doing because you're very sure and confident of yourself. That's a big part of it, is making the presentation of knowing what you're doing in your business. That's with almost anything though. And what you may be able to do is ask somebody that you did a project for in the business to write you a reference, or to be able to use them as a past performance. And if it's similar enough to a contract that you're going after, it may be acceptable. You never know until you try. Sometimes a past performance gets rated what they call neutral, which means it doesn't influence it as much as you would think, or they are going with a technically acceptable lowest price. What you can do is, if you don't get the award, request what's called a debrief. A debrief you have to request within 3 business days of the award. And I would do that if you won or lost. And you can say, you know, I'd like to request a debrief. Now, in the old days, they would meet with you and so on. Now, you're lucky if you get a quick email verbiage that said, you know, you were $10,000 above the lowest technically acceptable price, or they called one of your references and it didn't answer within 24 hours. It could be something completely out of your hands and you wouldn't have known it unless you asked for the debrief. And the reason to do that when you get a contract is also to find out why you won. You know, I got great recommendations from your business. You presented well, you wrote a great solicitation, answered all of my questions. You never know. So it's good to do it for both. And again, if there's a neutral rating and there are references don't count one way or the other, that, you know, then you might be okay with less time, but no guarantees. There is never a guarantee. If somebody tells you, if you sign up with us and pay $500 and we guarantee a contract, run for the hills, okay? Anybody else have any other questions for me? Oh, I see 2 in the Q&A. Sorry, guys, I missed that. Can you take us through how to obtain a SAM or a SAM number or code? Yeah, that's one of the things that we do. We actually walk you step by step through it. So that's among one of our many jobs. Is there a checklist for the documents needed to bid? No, but there is a checklist for the items you'll need in SAM. There are 9 things that you need in SAM. Let's see if I can, let me see if I can open. Can you guys see my screen? I can't tell if you can. If you can, I might be able to show you the SAM screen and what's, oh, you can't. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I did want to share it, but for those of you who need help going through the we only see you. That's not a great thing, guys. As soon as I get better at this, I promise I will do more screen sharing, but doing something live can be just as dangerous as not. So I'm not sure if I'm up to it. I'm not in the under 30 category, although I do remember. I just wanted to follow up with a checklist of documents. There is no template or checklist for proposals or solicitations or bids. There's tons of different names for it. However, there is a checklist for SAM, and we all have the checklist. As a matter of fact, it's actually on our website. And let me see if I can go back. Can you guys see my, see, I can't see you, so I don't think so. I hope so, but I can't, I don't know. I'm not gonna play around with it. I'm gonna put www. I'm putting it in the chat, guys, where you can go to our website and double check the SAM checklist. You'll see it. And actually anybody else out there, if you wanna look at some resources, we created the website as a resource place. So you might have to click around to find all the information, but almost everything you need is on there. To put your documents together, to look into the different certifications, to look into, say, you know, the DBE, which is quasi-federal because it covers the Department of Transportation, and the Port Authority or the MTA, it's a DBE, and that's the step before the 8A. And we have links to free sites. We even have links to things called challenges. Challenges are government challenges for $1,000 or less, and you can, you know, write to the challenge just in case it's something interesting. So we have that on our website too. Oh, I got one more question. What is the process for obtaining a Dun & Bradstreet now? Click on it, and I did, but it didn't share. Somebody was just telling me to share my screen, but it's not letting me. Let me share that, but not anything else that I wanted. No. Nope. Oh, here we go. New tab, share. Wait a minute, guys. Can you see that? I'm going to assume you can. I hope you can. Can you? Can you guys see that?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, so guys, this is sam.gov. This is where you would start your registration. And I'll just show you something. It says you can request a DUNS number, and it takes you to the link from here, and that's where you would start. And just for the rest of you who are not going to do SAM and are curious, and if I go too fast, tell me I'm going too fast. I'm a Jersey girl. I talk fast. You can go to something called contract opportunities. That's the old FBO. And you can put in your keywords here so that you can find out what kind of either you can do set aside, say for 8A, woman-owned, even Indian set-asides, although there's no federally recognized tribe within the state of New Jersey. So there are Native Americans living in New Jersey that are part of a federally recognized tribe, but there is no federally recognized tribe, which is kind of sad for New Jersey because we do have a fairly rich history. And you can put in dates. I wouldn't put any time. I would put in the next week or something, you know. And if you have 5,125 results, run, because in here you should be able to get much more. So say I did one the other day for hydraulic pumps. I probably spelled it wrong, hydraulic. Okay, dyslexia, no. Let's see. Oh, somebody said something about coaching. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so coaching came up, and you might look at it and say, this doesn't really, if it's not connected to me, so maybe I need to find a different word. In here, the due date is August 9th, so it will give you time. This is from the Veterans Health Administration. This gives you the NAICS codes, what the product service code is, and this is much more accurate. It's actually very similar to the NIGP codes that you use for state certifications. And this is a request for information, an RFI. So basically they're asking it's sort of like walking into a room and saying, how many left-handed people are in the room, and 3 people raise their hand. They could say, okay, we're going to set it aside for left-handed people. This is sort of the same thing, except looking for small businesses. So that's kind of a nice thing about being able to search. And if you sign in to this portal, you can save your searches, and you can also follow them. So when it gets awarded, you would know as well. So if any of you are wondering about that 3-day debrief, this is a great way to do it. You follow it all the way through. Now, you can only ask for a debrief if you didn't win the contract or did win the contract, not if you didn't apply for it. They certainly put out a lot of contracts and won't be able to do much more than that. The contracting officers. There's plenty of other people that are put in to support small businesses in the federal arena. And actually, that's the advantage of being a small business, is all the help that you can get. So it's just sort of finding it and gathering your resources. That's one of the things that we can help you do as well. So guys, thank you for walking me through Zoom screen sharing. And again, just be careful. Make sure that you just follow directions, be careful of the .coms, take advantage of the resources that are available to you from the SBDCs, from the PTACs, from every other agency that's offering help. Just grab a hold and follow directions, you'll be fine. Anybody else? Any other questions? Oh, the Dun & Bradstreet I showed you on the SAM.gov. You can also, up until April of 2022, why I remember dates and not names, I do not know. But up until April of 2022, Dun & Bradstreet is still going to be the predominant number. Priscilla?
Yes.
Hi.
Sorry about that.
No. I've talked way too much. I've got dry mouth and I'm babbling.
Okay. Well, do we have any other questions before we close out?
I wanted to thank everybody. It was great to talk to you. And Priscilla, again, thank you for the invite. Always appreciated.
All right, great. Okay, so we don't have Quincy. This was helpful. Okay, great. So good. So okay, so thanks to everyone for attending and for asking your questions. If you do need help with getting into procurement, feel free to reach out to the SBDC. That's what we're here for. We also work with Rachel. So if we do have individuals who have got their business plans, they've got their financials together, and they want to take that next step, we refer them. And they do likewise. If you're not quite there, she usually sends you back to the SBDC for us to get you, contract ready, if you would like to say that. So feel free to reach out to us. I provided our contact information. I'll put it up on the screen once more here. Rachel, I will change the name. Sorry about that.
Well, at least I got to tell my story.
Yes. I'm trying to move the slide across, but for some reason it's not. Oh, there it is. All right, so there is our contact information. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, or if you need to start putting your documents or your profile together when it comes to contracting. We also have, like I mentioned, a full day workshop that's coming up later this year. I think it's in October, that shows you a lot of research. You get to know what departments in the government purchase what, how much they're intending on spending, when to find out, when contracts are coming up to be bid on. Most of us, we're getting to them at the tail end when they've already been awarded. So I do encourage you to be on the lookout for that webinar. It's called Winning Public Federal Contracts. And we do have a webinar such as this, a 90-minute webinar that gives an overview of the full day workshop. So if you wanted to just find out if that's a fit for you at this point, you will just attend that 19-minute webinar, and that comes up later next month. Please visit www.rnsbdc.com, which is our website, to sign up for that webinar. So if we don't have any further questions, we'll be ending out today's webinar. We do have a webinar coming up in a few minutes called Website, Social Media, and Analytics. There's still time to register for that. So we look forward to seeing you there, and we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Rachel.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
At the New Jersey SBDC Network, our mission is simple: to help businesses grow and succeed. Our consulting, training, and information services make it easier for businesses to reach their potential. Whether you're currently in operation or just starting out, we have the right tools, resources, and expertise to help you succeed. Visit us online to get started on your path to success today.